Hi, I'm Andrew from Professional Equine Services, and this is Clive, and we're just going to give you a bit of update today on what Clive's been doing while he's been here. He's not been trained every day because we've been quite busy, so he's had on and off training, but he's been coming on really well, and I've discovered a few things about him which I'm going to show you now with a few little bits of clips of what we found out about him and how we've got him to try to get him to help to overcome those little issues that he's had. So I hope it's of interest. So one of the things that Clive has found difficult is that he likes kissing too much. No, not kissing. He gets very tense in his body. So when I first bring him into the school, he's had a treat, by the way. That's why he's doing this. So he's not in love with me. He's had a treat. So when I first bring him into school, and I generally like to move my hands around over the body to see how they feel. And you can see now he's quite relaxed. Often, when I first brought him in, he was very tense, and you could feel the skin over his body really hard and tense, around his body, especially underneath his arms, behind his elbows, on both sides. And he's soft now because we have done a little bit of work with him already today. So normally when I'm doing this, you can almost hear his breath become shallow, and it makes grunting noises like. So the way we've got over that is when he feels like that, I'll pick his legs up. So just lift his legs up. Literally, I don't need to hold them up for long. Just lift them up. Just as long as he lifts his legs off the ground, you don't need to pick them up too much. And they come up nice and easy. When he's really tense, his legs feel really stiff and heavy. And so what I'll do is just keep gently picking his legs up, keep him calm, keep moving him around a little bit, picking his legs up. And that helps him start to feel a bit better. The next thing I do is, I think we did this on the first little video we did of him. So I just stand near his ribs, gently push his ribs away from me. So he bends his body and moves his quarters away, and that helps him get his body feeling relaxed. And we'll do that the other way. Then the next thing I do, I'm just going to move his head around. So we want that left paw behind the right paw, like that, and then vice versa. So we put the right paw behind the left paw. Good. And then he starts to feel even more relaxed like this. So he starts lifting and chewing, his head's low, his breathing soft. And ultimately, if he's not like this, and we can't get him, there's times where I've spent ages and he won't feel relaxed. It's not that he's unhappy, he's just really tense. And if he's tense now, when we put the saddle on, he's going to be more tense, because that is the thing that he can't get rid of. All I'm trying to do is show him that he can control his own body, and he can find a release. So when he feels tense, when we do these movements, lifting his legs, will make him start to feel softer. Moving his body and bending his body and moving his neck makes him feel softer. So he feels more in control of his body. The more in control of his body he feels, the more in control of his emotion he feels. So the less tense he gets. Yeah. So the next thing we've been doing is, Clive, he's never really naughty. Naughty is the wrong word, but he gets tense. So when the rider gets on, he feels very rigid through his body. If you sit still on him for a bit, he'll breathe, relax, and then he'll walk on. But underlyingly, he doesn't do anything wrong, but he's just not 100% relaxed. And he doesn't particularly listen to all the aids that we give him because he doesn't understand them. So the things that I found is, number one is he feels tense. Number two, he doesn't really accept the contact in the bridle so well. And number three, when you put pressure on him, when he's not accepting the contact and he feels tense, obviously he doesn't like pressure. So my job is to try to get him to start to accept the pressure. So without the saddle, the thing I would try to do with him is just use this mounting block. He's going to have a little wander around now. Again, I'm not going to shout at him and make him stand up. I keep the mounting block near him, and when he stands still, we'll take the mounting block away and we'll get used to that. It's a bit of a... We'll take it away, his head goes down, take it back, moves around. So a big part of it is just letting him do this because he's worried, he's not 100% sure. So I'm going to let him do that, and he comes back to a position where I'll sort of near. And then I'm just going to literally lean over him. Good view of the camera there. And so we're just trying to get him used to getting weight on his back without the added pressure of the saddle. So we've done that a lot, and you can see he's quite happy. He was a little bit, it's a bit of a game with the mounting block, but he gets over that pretty easy. So when we're putting the saddle on Clive, again, I don't tie him up, I don't pin him down. I give him the opportunity to move away from the saddle, because he can move away from it, but he's eventually going to get it on, and it just keeps him feeling relaxed and positive. So there will be a stage where we will get him to stand still, but that stage, that's a good camera angle, but that stage isn't yet. So we're not trying to get, I think the key thing about training horses, we're not trying to get the end process at the beginning, middle stage of training. So we get the end process at the end. And I think that's a key thing to remember, is we're not trying to get the perfect situation. He loves the camera. We're not trying to get the perfect situation at this stage. We're just going to put the saddle on him. When this lad's tense, when I touch around his wither, he really has that shudder response. You know, when they get a fly on them, that his body really, really shudders. And that's a key sign that he's feeling tense and a little bit less than confident. You can see there when I'm touching him, he's fine. It feels good. He also, when you touch him around his elbow and around where the girth goes, when he's tense, he gets that real tight feeling through his skin. And this is a treeless saddle, so it needs to be done up reasonably tight, but I don't just lay into it, putting it real tight to start with, just gradually girth it up. And all we want to do is make sure we're not over-girthing him. And then again, you can see his head's down, I can touch him around here, he's not flinching. He was originally really flinchy and tense around here. You know, he looks nice, and we've not drugged him, by the way, either, have we, Clive? And he's the same like that on the other side. So the way we've got that is the processes that we've showed you beforehand, and then by laying over him without the saddle, touching him around his girth area, rewarding him a lot, not pinning him down, letting him feel free, so he's got a choice of moving or not moving, and he always gets a reward. When he doesn't move, the reward is that I take whatever the stimulation is away. So that's putting the saddle on, that's another stage, and we'll do another bit of video in a second. So the next thing we do is we've got his bridle on. He's got a new shoe length hooked, snaffle in, so with a lozenge in the middle. The noseband is really loose, so the noseband's not doing anything, it's only on there to look good. And the cheek pieces are quite loose, so he hasn't got a load of smiley wrinkles, and I want it like that so that the bit feels it can move in his mouth. I don't want the bit yanked up in his mouth, because that again makes them feel a little bit pressured and a little bit trapped. Eventually he will have the bit a bit higher, because it's just the way he's going to listen to the contact, and through the reins it'll be better for him. But at this stage I want it quite loose, because again he hasn't been a big fan of the contact. That's nothing to do with anybody who's trained him, it's just he hasn't really understood it. Okay, so the thing that we do first of all, is we take the reins, the outside rein in my right hand, inside rein in my left hand. I'm going to hold the reins palms up. I'm just going to walk him around the school, and I'm going to let him have a long rein. I'm just going to walk him around a little bit. We're going to turn across the school, so I can use the outside rein and the inside rein to turn him. But real gentle. And then we're just going to come down the quarter line. I'm going to do a little leg yield, so a little tiny bit of pressure on the outside rein with my elbow on his ribs. Just going to move him over. Now I know that wasn't a correct British dressage leg yield, I'm not asking for that. All I want is some lateral bend through his ribs and to cross his legs over. That again makes him feel positive and happy. Starts to release endorphins, he has a nice stretch down. Very good. We're going to do another little leg yield up the quarter line. So a bit of outside rein, elbow nudge him over, and move sideways. And then if we'll just do a bit of shouldering, so a bit of outside rein, so my hands are nice and loose, in shouldering, going up the long side. And we let him have a little stretch. We do that on both reins, and that just gives him a chance to feel the contact, what the contact does, so I can use some contact in the rein, and I can use my elbow on his side here as my leg. That's it, so all that snorting and blowing and yawning, good boy, he's just releasing tension, he's feeling really happy. Good boy. And that's another step that we've been doing with Clive to make him the perfect riding horse. Okay, so we'll pause that and then we'll just show you the next step. Okay? And then the next stage is long lining. So long lining is sort of, we've got the saddle on, we've got the bridle on. We're asking him to go forward when I want to. We've got contact in the rein. The main thing I'm trying to show him with the long lining is that the give and release of the rein, so that when I take a contact on the bridle and he gives me the correct response, the contact goes away. So for example, if I turn him, I put pressure on the left rein, he follows the pressure and the pressure goes away and he makes the turn, and then he understands that there's a question, give an answer, and then the pressure goes away. And he's looking really chilled out. So that's what we're doing with the long reining really. I'm not trying to, I think people get a misunderstanding of the long lining, of that you're trying to take contact all the time. You're not. You're trying to give contact, or in this instance, you're trying to give contact to ask a question. Right, so as you would when you were riding, so if I want to change the rein, into the inside rein to turn him across the school, the left rein, the inside rein goes slack, the outside rein has some contact, he turns towards it, and the pressure goes away. The main thing with horses is if they feel pressure and they don't understand how to get a release of pressure, that's when they become tense or resistant. And sometimes, when they're a kind fellow like him, they don't tell you enough that they're feeling worried about finding the answer. They just sort of struggle on. Which can then build up to a little bit of tension. So again, a little trot round. starts to go in the wrong direction, he feels pressure in the inside rein, then I'll leave him alone. Pressure on the inside rein, so he's going to go out to the right, then I'll leave him alone. Pressure on the rein, because he's not going to turn there. Forward, no pressure. No pressure. Gone a bit straight, but that's good. He's listening. Now I can just have a flutter on the rein. And leave him alone, good. A bit more forward. Circle starts to become a bit more obvious to him, and then he starts to stretch down. When he understands the parameter, good boy, good boy. Yeah, and he could, we know he could be going more forward, but at the minute I'm trying to get him to be confident in the rein and relaxed. I don't need to try to do two things at once. So I do want him to keep going. But I don't want to try to force him forward and get him to understand the rein. Always trying to teach one thing at a time. Good boy. So, that's Clive so far. Tune in for the next thrilling instalment when he'll be getting ridden. We're going to be jumping through hoops of fire, swimming through deep rivers on him. No, we're not. We're just going to be riding him. So hopefully that will be good and you'll enjoy that video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Thanks very much.